The War Room is kind of like the Illuminati, but cooler.
I was both working for Tate and I was inside of the War Room. They trusted me.
The War Room is the most powerful network on the face of the planet today.
I made the millions, countless millions, and you're basically part of the cult. The cult that is the War Room. The War Room is collapsing. It's not what it used to be.
Andrew Tate sells his War Room as a secret society that makes its members rich and gives them access to the global elite.
The War Room is the #1 enemy you wouldn't want coming after you, because they will get you. We are that good.
In an exclusive interview, a whistleblower has told the news movement what really goes on inside.
My name is EliXAnpa. I am a Duke dropout and former head of sales and marketing at Cobratate.
EliXAnpa says that Tate is exploiting his fans for money, spreading misinformation, and using the War Room to silence critics. A massive leak of data from the War Room's private Telegram channel obtained by TNN supports much of what Eli says. Eli worked closely with Tate on his website Cobratate.com for 2 years, selling courses and access to the War Room.
They'll say anything they want to get what they want from anybody. We have many Twitter employees, we have Instagram employees, TikTok employees. When we want to, we can delete an account. There's actually quite a few members who put in excess of $250,000 towards these courses, towards these events. I didn't fully believe in all of the things that the War Room had to teach, had to offer.
But first, who is Eli and how did he get involved with Andrew Tate?
All right. Well, so COVID happened around 2020. Everybody got sent home from college in America. So I went back to Canada. And I started searching up people, starting into managerial red pill space, etc., etc. Then I found Tate, consumed all his videos, and I spent some of my last money to join the War Room. And that was it. I just thought he was, he's the truth, he's the G. And he was sort of like an aspirational figure for what I believe was a good ideal to be like. It wasn't expensive back then. The War Room was about like $1,400, $1,500 US, something like that.
How much does it cost now to join?
$7,979 USD. So it's gone up quite a bit, yeah. At the start, I thought it was amazing. It's like, wow, all of this knowledge, all this information, I'm learning about mindset, I'm learning about all this stuff. And I mean, I'm 20 years old. I've had no other online experiences and stuff. I'm very, very impressionable. So I took basically everything that said as gospel at the beginning.
Eli was 20. He spent all of his money to join the War Room. It's essentially a bunch of Telegram channels where Tate fans can connect, discuss their interests, and have a direct channel to their hero. But Eli says it's a cult.
It's a gradual process. It's not overnight where someone becomes indoctrinated into the cult that is the War Room. It's a slow process, and it comes like a thief at night. You don't even notice it. Next thing you know, you're going to all the events and you're basically part of the cult.
You would describe the War Room as a cult?
It's what they've called themselves in some of the events, some of the meetings.
The War Room is a private network. That's the most I can say. Kind of imagine the Freemasons of old.
Cult, I would say it's a negative word, because that means it removes your individuality, it removes your humanity. It means you're part of a cohort in which you have no say in the way things are going and there's agenda, and you're no longer human. You are part of a machine. And I don't think that's the right way that humans should live.
You describe your journey to working for Cobratate as through the War Room.
Yes.
Was that similar to other people who you, like your colleagues, for instance?
Almost, I'd say about 98% of all people who work for Tate are also inside of the War Room or have gone through the War Room first, and they were vetted as to what kind of individual they were before they were hired. Very rarely we hire anybody outside because we just don't need to. So I got hired in July 2021. It was mostly online, me and back and forth. Most of my communication was me and Luke. He runs everything. He'll run the video team. He'll oversee the marketing team. He'll oversee the sales team, managers for that.
But he also had access to Tate and his brother, Tristan.
Also, there's some group chats with Tate as well. Tristan less so. Tristan does other things. He's not so involved in the operation as Tate and Luke is.
You had access to the Twitter?
I did, yes. I would respond to DMs from people and sell them on things.
So your job was to try and get more and more people to sign up to
Hustlers University and the War Room, absolutely.
Would you be supervised when you were using that?
No, they trusted me.
Eli knows Tate's online sales strategy from the inside.
Tate is a figure which you see and you're like, wow, he's a top G, he's got a Bugatti, he's 4-time kickboxing world champion, blah, blah, blah. Surely he gets the best girls. He tells you, yes, you can become like me. I was poor, I was out of shape, I was all of these things, and then I became this through sheer hard work and effort. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, that's very viable. Let's follow Tate. And it's kind of hard. You can't really beat a Bugatti. Not many people have a Bugatti that's like $5 million. You can't beat kickboxing world champions. So like, okay, I am forever inferior to Tate because these are the metrics that I value and I hold are important. So you're forever in this complex where you're inferior to Tate and you're always learning from him. You're always in a subservient role in that you need him. He makes you dependent on him because who else but the top G, right?
So would you describe the way in which you were marketing Tate's product as kind of preying on male insecurities about getting girls?
Absolutely, that's all it comes down to at the end of the day. I think a lot of men are looking for that content and they fall deeper and deeper into the Tate propaganda machine, and that's just how it goes, right? That's how we designed it.
It costs almost $8,000 to get into the War Room. But for many members, the huge sum spending doesn't end there.
So you join the War Room, you pay a set price. And then there are events, and they make a lot of money off the back end of the events. If you speak to a salesman, they'll be like, the War Room's complete, you don't need to pay anything, there's no obligation to buy anything once inside, and technically there is no obligation.
So the War Room offers members other courses which cost even more money, and the leaked chats we've got hold of back this up. The operator course, for instance, is offered for £2,000 a head, and it's claimed to have had 300 plus graduates. So that's 600 grand in income.
And the margins are actually really, really huge, because some of the events maybe cost $500, maybe $1,000 per head to run it, and they'll charge you $12,000, $18,000 on the back end. So times that by like 40 or 50 people, loads of money to be made.
These courses are marketed by other high-ranking members of the War Room. Why? Eli says that half the money is given to Tate and the rest is divided between the leadership. And we're talking about some large figures.
There is actually quite a few members who put in excess of $250,000 towards these courses, towards these events, which is a lot of money. The best customers in marketing are repeat customers.
Eli makes wild claims that the War Room can influence social media companies to control the narrative around Tate. They even use botnets, he says.
We have many Twitter employees, we have Instagram employees, TikTok employees. When we want to, we can delete an account, but our preferred method of choice, because deleting is kind of harsh. For small accounts, we can just mark them and that's it, and nobody really cares. But for bigger accounts, we use a thing called PR marketing campaigns and narrative control, meaning that we have big accounts that side with us, we have many smaller, real-looking, human-like accounts.
So if you tweet something against Tate online, both big accounts with ties to the War Room and smaller bot accounts will challenge you with a pro-Tate narrative.
Whatever the perceived attack is on the Tate brand, that the marketing, the post, the tweet, the thread, whatever is purporting, we counter that with our Tate bots. We get big accounts to slander the person that's making that thread or that tweet or that post. I wasn't personally involved in those PR campaigns. We had another department handling that, but I definitely was aware of everything, yeah.
Eli claims that the War Room's efforts to silence Tate's critics isn't just online. In one case, he says he was involved in threatening a Twitter user by sending men to his doorstep. And Tate's spoken about a similar case in 2020.
Felt it because people turned up at his door. Once I had his address, I didn't want to get banned from Twitter. Obviously, it happened in the end anyway. Yeah. But at first, I put his street name, then I put his house number, and then when guys turned up at his house, when he looked out the window and saw the SUV, then he starts apologizing on the internet like a little bitch. And it wasn't even hard for me to do. Richard, all I did was I sent some messages to a few private groups I'm in. I said, look, cash prize, this guy needs to pay.
He says that's not the only time a War Room member has threatened to send men to someone's house, which, if true, is pretty mad.
And also another thing you have to understand about Tate, he doesn't work on contracts. He doesn't work on NDAs, doesn't work on all this stuff. He works on handshakes, brotherhood, mutual trust, and respect. Friendship.
You're kind of blowing the lid in a way and showing people behind the curtain how the Tate machine works. Why now?
I was part of the War Room and Cobratate team working. I quit Cobratate team and we left amicably. I didn't fully believe in all of the things that the War Room had to teach, had to offer. So I go inside of the rooms and I start reading the chats, and I see really, really misleading advice from some of the members inside, especially leadership. So I go and counter it, and I counter it in a way where I kind of make them look silly, to be honest. Like I go in better, so then these guys kick me out, and I guess that was it, right? I got kicked out. I reached out to Luke and I asked him, what's the reason for why I was kicked out of the War Room? This is very, very unfair. And he told me I was acting in bad faith. How could I be acting in bad faith? I made the millions, countless millions, and I got paid. I'm not gonna give you the exact amount, but less than $500,000 over 2 years.
Eli says he was betrayed by the Tates. He was kicked out for arguing with leadership on tactics to pick up young women, specifically virgins or girls with low body counts. Eli claims that this hetero male concern of how to pick up young, sexually inexperienced girls is a major selling point in the manosphere.
Virgins were always coveted throughout history. I don't think it's a wrong thing. As long as you operate within the legal constraints of what is legal in your country, then I don't think there's anything wrong with desiring that.
This kind of idea of like younger women, for instance, that they have less experience, so there's less complication. Isn't that potentially suggesting that you would be able, in a way, to kind of program a woman because they're inexperienced?
With great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Andrew Tate is currently facing charges of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organised crime group in Romania, which he denies. This criminal case is related to his previous business in webcam pornography. And the War Room leaks show that many members are pursuing businesses in webcam pornography.
Do you know much about Tate's experience in the webcam porn business? Was that anything you guys ever spoke about?
I won't comment on that.
Leaked chats from the War Room specifically talk a lot about OnlyFans management as a way of making money. Is that right?
Again, I won't touch on that subject.
You don't want to talk?
I won't talk about that, no.
However, Eli did explain to us Tate's PhD course, which was once sold on Cobratate.com.
It's Cobratate.com, and I've got a course on there that basically explains how I got girls to work for me for my
Tate's
webcam.
PhD, right?
It's a PhD course, pimping hose degree.
Eli says that the PhD teaches men how to manipulate women into doing whatever they want, and that the War Room encourages it.
Basically, the PhD method is you will sleep with a woman and then you will ignore her and then she will come and beg for your attention. You put a woman into a cycle of Pavlovian conditioning to where you give her less attention and she gives you more sex, and she also gives you more servitude in terms of her doing things for you, whether that's cooking for you, cleaning for you, or eventually, as you said, doing OnlyFans webcam. So she fully depends on you and she has no autonomy of her own. You manipulate her into being your slave, perhaps, quote unquote, and then she would do anything for you. And that's a PhD successfully executed. And then you would post it up inside the War Room and you get loads of applause and stuff, versus doing the right thing, which is have a wholesome relationship with her based on trust and respect, which I think is the correct way of doing things.
Leaked chats from the War Room's private PhD chat room, now obtained by T&M, show Tate teaching other War Room members how he gets girls to webcam for him. Tate encourages his students to isolate girls and lie to them to create dependency. He also claims he uses other women who are part of his webcam team to convince new girls to work for him. These leaks have allegedly been passed on to Romanian authorities in the criminal investigation. They've also been sent to lawyers who are pursuing a separate civil case against Tate for allegations of rape and sexual assault by 4 women in the UK.
Thank you for getting to the end of this exclusive interview about Andrew Tate and the War Room. We've been covering the case around Andrew Tate as part of our commitment to understand more about the online manosphere space. You can watch our previous videos on Andrew Tate, which are here on YouTube, and make sure to stay tuned as we stay across the case and its future developments.